This call is being recorded. If you do not wish to be recorded, please disconnect at this time.
You are currently holding for today's UFC 148 conference call. At this time, we are admitting additional participants, and we plan to be underway shortly. Thank you for your patience in holding. Please continue to stand by. Please stand by. We're about to begin. Good day, everyone, and welcome to the UFC 148 conference call. Today's call is being recorded. At this time, for opening remarks and introductions, I would like to turn the conference over to Mr. Ant Evans. Please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. UFC 148 goes down July 7th at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. It's not only one of the biggest fights of the year, it's one of the biggest sporting events of the summer. It features the 2 years in the making rematch between reigning and defending UFC middleweight champion Anderson Silva and the man who's become his career nemesis, the only guy to really give him a fight in the UFC so far, number one contender CHAEL Sonnen. Both men are on the call, and they're going to be joined by the co-main event fighters, both former UFC 205 world champions, FORREST Griffin, and newly minted UFC Hall of Famer TITO Ortiz. This is the rubber match between the two guys. They had two classic fights at UFC 59 and 106. We're also joined today by UFC President Dana White, and I'm going to hand you over to Dana after these particulars. The prelims are going to be on FX, 8 p.m. in the East, 5 p.m. in the West, and the pay-per-view is going to start 10 in the East and 7 in the West. So with that said, I'm going to turn you over to Dana.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for calling in. We appreciate it. Who has the first question?
If you'd like to ask a question today, please press *1. If you're using a speakerphone, please make sure your mute function is turned off to allow your signal to reach our equipment. Again, that's *1. We'll go first to Gareth Davies with the Daily Telegraph, London.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Fantastic calls. Can I ask CHAEL first, if you're there? CHAEL, down the years, you've given us some amazing interviews, but when do you get serious about this fight with Anderson Silva? When does the WWE character go away and the mean, nasty cage fighter who turns up on a Saturday night, who beat Anderson Silva up in 2010, show up in the next couple of weeks?
Well, Gareth, I don't do character, so I'm not real sure what that meant. But I mean, I got serious about this fight a long time ago. I've been training for combat since I was 9 years old. I've wanted to be the UFC champion since 1993. I couldn't think of a day of my life where this wasn't serious to me.
But you don't like this guy very much. You think he's a phony, don't you?
Agreed.
Okay, I'll move on then. Dana, the three best pound-for-pound fighters in this generation, no question, I think in boxing and MMA, are Mayweather, Pacquiao, and Silva. But the first two have become much, much bigger stars, despite them all becoming pay-per-view attractions, even though they've all been in ascendancy, perhaps for the last 5 to 6 years. Do you ever regret that you've got a special talent here who can transcend the sport, but he won't help him become a Mayweather-level star because Anderson does not put himself out there enough?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's exactly true. I mean, Ant said it. Ant was wrong when he started the call. This isn't one of the biggest sporting events of the summer. It's one of the biggest sporting events of the year. And I think, for a sport that, if you look at our UFC, which is now 11 years old, Anderson Silva is a very big star. And this is a fight that people care about and want to see all over the world. And he is known now. I mean, very few people would dispute, not only is he the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world, but probably the best mixed martial artist ever. And, when we talk about those guys becoming such huge stars, I mean, dude, you haven't been to Brazil lately. I mean, this guy is a huge superstar in his home country. And he's a huge superstar here. He's people want to see him fight, and people want to see him fight CHAEL all over the world. When you talk about the Mayweather-Pacquiao, when you think about the numbers that those guys do on pay-per-view, they fight once every year and a half. It's not the same. It's not the same sport, and I would have to disagree with you. I think he's a big star.
No, I cannot dispute the fact I haven't been to Brazil to a UFC yet, and I regret that, and I will be there. And I'm not disputing at all that Anderson isn't a massive star in Brazil and in America, and even in Europe in the sport. But all I'm asking is, would you like to see him speak English more, do more interviews in English, look to be a crossover star, because he's so good, he's so brilliant, that he could be easily a crossover star across the world outside MMA, and I'm talking across the world. And maybe I'm pushing you hard on this, but I feel he could be a global star like Tiger Woods.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but I would disagree in that. Listen, does the guy have to really work hard and try to speak English? People aren't showing up to hear this guy give speeches. You know what I mean? They're not showing up to hear him. You're showing up to watch what this guy does in the octagon. And when he gets in there, he's an artist. I mean, this guy does what no other mixed martial artist is able to do. He's able to do things that other guys can't. I mean, if you don't want to like or follow Anderson Silva because he doesn't speak English, I don't know. I don't know. I totally don't get it. You know what I mean? You show up to watch this guy fight. He could be a deaf fucking mute, for Christ's sake. It doesn't matter. What he does when he gets into the octagon is amazing. And that's what you're showing up for or paying to see.
Yeah, just a few times, all I'm saying is a few times that Anderson has spoken English, he has charmed the pants off everyone, that's all. That's all I'm saying. Anderson, if I could ask a quick question for Anderson. Anderson, some of the things that CHAEL has said, things like he didn't know they had the internet in Brazil, are clearly supposed to be ironic. But did he step over the line when he talked about your wife?
Anderson, algumas das coisas que o CHAEL falou de você, falando do Brasil, falando que não sabia que o Brasil tinha internet, computador, mas ele passou do limite quando ele falou aquelas coisas da tua esposa?
Esse cara é um marginal
é uma escória do esporte. Esse cara não merece estar dentro do UFC. É um cara que teve problema com a justiça americana. É um cara que teve problema com doping. É um cara que não respeita nada. Esse cara é um imbecil. E no dia 7 eu vou quebrar a cara dele. E todos os dentes da boca dele eu vou arrancar da boca dele.
Well, first of all, CHAEL is a criminal. CHAEL's a criminal. He's been convicted of crimes. He doesn't deserve to be inside the octagon. And when the time comes and the time is right, I'm going to break his face and break every one of his teeth in his mouth.
Thank you very much. And final question for Tito. Do we have Tito there? We do. Hi, Tito. Final question for Tito. All the Hall of Famers have suffered a bad beating in their final fight. What are you going to do against FORREST Griffin to make sure that you don't go down in history the same way that the other Hall of Famers so far have gone down in their last fight?
I'm ready to fight, and on July 7th, my fight will show what I'm ready for, and I know Forrest is ready too, so you guys will get a great fight.
Hey, Gareth, I love you, buddy. We got to let out. There's 100 and something.
No, listen, I finally got on the conference call. Thank you so much.
All right, buddy.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Lance Pugmire with Los Angeles Times.
Hi, guys. How you doing today?
Hi.
First question is for Anderson. Anderson, looking back at that first fight against CHAEL, do you believe that you took him lightly in that fight? Why was it such a difficult fight for you up until the fifth round?
Anderson, naquela primeira luta contra o CHAEL, tu acha que você não levou ele com muito atenção nessa luta? Por que tu acha que a luta foi como foi até o quinto round?
Olha só, quem vive de passado é museu. Eu não vivo de passado. E eu vou bater nele de novo. É isso que eu vou fazer. Não tem muito o que ficar falando. Eu vou enfiar a porrada nele. Ele está escutando isso e acabou a brincadeira. Não adianta ele ficar falando bobagem. Acabou a falação, bicho. Agora está chegando perto da verdade. Eu não estou machucado. Eu estou 100%. E eu vou quebrar a cara dele. Eu vou expulsar ele do UFC. Ele vai apanhar como ele nunca apanhou na vida dele. Eu vou bater nele para ele aprender a ser educado. Tudo que ele não apanhou da mamãe e do papai, ele vai apanhar de mim para aprender a ser educado e respeitar o país e as pessoas.
He basically said that, people who live in the past and things that are in the past are in museums. Right now, I'm focused on what's going to happen in the next few weeks. And right now, the playtime is over. I'm going to beat CHAEL like it's never been before. This joke is over. There's no more talking. I know he's on the line listening, and the game's over. I'm going to beat his ass out of the UFC. He's never going to want to fight again after I'm done with him.
All right. So, what do you say to that? And CHAEL, how do you believe that you exposed Anderson in the first fight?
Well, all that happened was Anderson found himself in a fight for the first time. I think Anderson's a really good setup guy. He uses a lot of movements and motions to set guys up. But at the end of the day, his skills are amateur. If you walk into a fist fight with your hands down, that's amateur. And, I treated him like an amateur the first time. He's going to look like an amateur this time.
Do you really believe that? Do you really believe, all the things that this guy has accomplished in the octagon, that he has amateur-like skills?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, guys.
We'll go next to Dave Diebert with Post Media News.
Hi, thanks, guys. Just a quick one for CHAEL. Now, I know this is obviously on a much grander scale, but going back in all the years you've been competing, going back to high school, college, has there ever been a rivalry or an opponent where at the time it may have felt as big to you as this one does now?
So, I got to tell you, I mean, the stakes are pretty high in this one. It's a big difference in what I did in college or in high school, where I was trying to score points on a guy, or I had an opponent trying to score points on me. I'm trying to hurt this guy, and he's trying to do damage to me. So the stakes are much greater. This is the biggest sporting event of the summer, and and for a reason. And I heard somebody else compare it, and somebody said, well, what about the Olympic Games? I'm scratching my head and going, well, look, I love the Olympics, but let's be fair. Just because somebody's got the Olympics on in the background while their family's eating dinner isn't exactly the same. It's not the same as selling out venues. It's not the same as people traveling to a destination, buying T-shirts, fighting with each other over work, placing bets, talking about something for 2 years, waiting for two guys to finally settle their business. There is no sport, there is no fight in the history of combat or in all of 2012 that's got as much weight and as much emotion, not just from fans and media, but from the athletes that are participating as this one. So, the stakes are completely different. And, I'm not playing around. He thinks that's funny to say he's going to break my face. Tell him I got 2 words for him: medium rare.
All right. Dana, just to touch along something that, been touched on a couple times here, UFC 100 is still your guys' benchmark in terms of pay-per-view buys. What are you guys targeting for this event? One, is that reasonable to hit 100 numbers, or is $1 million plus? Is that something that would be a success?
Yeah, there's no doubt that we plan on doing over 1 million buys here, and yeah, we expect UFC 100 numbers.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much, you guys.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Dave Meltzer with Wrestling Observer.
First, I want to talk to, and thanks, by the way, for taking the time, but I wanted to talk to Tito about, it's kind of emotionally, what does it mean to you, that they named you to the Hall of Fame, and also, you're just a couple of weeks out of the final fight of your career. It's been a long journey. You were kind of a pioneer in the sport. What kind of emotionally, going into the final fight, what are you thinking?
I think it's just preparation, prepare for the fight of your life. I've been waiting 15 years for this, for 15 minutes. Only 15 minutes of my life I'm going to have to give. So over the last 8 weeks, I've been given that 15 minutes, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours a day, 6 days a week, and preparing for this fight. I know who Forrest is. I know how he fights, and I know how he likes to fight. And I'm trying to absorb as much as I possibly can for the next week. I've been doing it the last 8 weeks of continue on with the winning mentality. This fight means the world to me, and it will show on July 7th how much it means to me. I'm not coming in playing around. I'm not coming in talking no smack. I'm coming in to fight. And I know Forrest is ready. I'm ready. So let's fight. And this being inducted to the Hall of Fame, I'm very thankful to Dana, Lorenzo, for Tito for representing this to me. I think it's just a qualification, just showing that through the hard work and dedication that I put through MMA and through the UFC that I've grown and I became the person I am today, and I'm thankful for it.
And for Forrest, you fought Tito twice. As far as like whether it's a rivalry or a grudge or something like that, I mean, what are you kind of thinking as far as is it settling the score, or is it just this is just your next fight?
I don't know. Obviously, we've got some history. It's the biggest fight to date. The thing is, you can't over-prepare for a fight like this because Tito's got too much time. He's got so much invested in this. Just doing his final fight. Just everything that's surrounded him recently, and his last couple fights not going the way we want him to. Well, I'm coming off the same thing. So, my whole thing is never lose 2 in a row. So.
And for Dana, a couple of things. You've got a couple of Ultimate Fighter seasons coming up. By the way, is there a time frame of the next filming for a Brazil show, or a time frame when the next Brazil show is going to air, and also for the Australia, UK, and the US version? I mean, do you have any kind of coaches in mind, and when those announcements are going to be made?
I'm still working on it.
And you'd mentioned the other night about Kanan Jr. Not being in Toronto. Can you kind of elaborate on, is there a time frame change, or is there just another venue that you're looking at doing that in?
I have no other info. I'd like to keep this call. We got like over 100 and something people on here strictly to this card. I have nothing else.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.
All right, thanks.
And we'll go next to Jeff Wagenheim with SportsIllustrated.com.
I have a question for Anderson. The first fight with CHAEL, the surprising thing was how much he outstruck you several times in the fight, because you're considered the top striker in UFC. So I'm sure you'll adjust to that. But how will you keep from being underneath him with CHAEL Sonnen on top of you for the better part of 4.5 rounds?
Anderson, na primeira luta contra o CHAEL Sonnen, você é conhecido como um dos melhores strikers nesse jogo de MMA, e pareceu que o CHAEL pegou um pouquinho melhor de você em pé. Mas em outro assunto, na parte de wrestling e a parte de derrubar, como você vai não deixar ele ficar por baixo nele nessa vez?
Olha só, por baixo, por cima, de lado, de pé, ele vai apanhar de novo. Ele vai apanhar muito, vai apanhar. Dessa vez, não tem conversinha. Depois que entrar lá dentro, ele vai engolir todos os dentes da boca dele. Eu vou quebrar todos os dentes da boca dele. Eu vou arrancar dente por dente da boca dele. Depois que eu bater nele, muita gente vai ficar assustada com o que vai acontecer com o esporte. Eu estou dedicado e preparado e principalmente designado a fazer uma coisa que ninguém nunca fez dentro do UFC. Quebrar o CHAEL Sonnen inteiro. Ele vai sair com a cara toda quebrada, braço quebrado, perna quebrada. Eu vou quebrar ele inteiro. E diga para ele está escutando, Ele vai apanhar muito, ele vai sair de maca lá de dentro.
It doesn't matter if I'm on the bottom, the side, the top. It doesn't matter. CHAEL Sonnen is going to get his ass kicked like he's never gotten his ass kicked before. What I'm going to do inside the octagon is something that's going to change the image of the sport. I'm going to beat his ass like he's never been beaten before. I'm going to make sure that every one of his teeth are broken, his arms are broke, his legs are broke. He's going to not be able to walk out there by out of the octagon by himself. I can guarantee that. And I know that he's listening. So the game's over. No more shit talking. It's on now.
We'll go next to Damon Martin with MMA Weekly.
First question is for Anderson. Anderson, obviously this stuff with CHAEL is, been very personal over the last couple of years. But for you personally, where does this fight rank in your legacy of the sport?
Eu sei que essa luta contra o CHAEL afetou você muito pessoalmente, mas na tua vida e na tua carreira como lutador, aonde essa luta cai no ranking da tua vida?
Ele não me afetou pessoalmente. Não tem, essa parada é totalmente profissional. Só que eu vou quebrar ele de porrada. Não tem essa. Ele vai aprender a respeitar os lutadores brasileiros, vai aprender a respeitar o país que ele desrespeitou, ele vai aprender a respeitar os caras que levaram o esporte aonde ele pratica hoje, os caras que criaram o esporte que ele pratica hoje, que é o MMA, e não tem essa parada de wrestling, não tem esse negócio. Ele vai dar o melhor dele, não vai adiantar, eu vou bater nele, eu vou quebrar ele inteiro. Esse cara é um marginal, é um vagabundo sem vergonha, é um marginal, e ele vai apanhar como ele nunca apanhou. Eu vou bater nele porque a mãe dele nunca bateu nele, nunca educou ele. Então eu vou bater nele, eu vou quebrar os dentes da boca dele, eu vou quebrar os braços dele, eu vou quebrar as pernas dele. Esse cara nunca mais vai falar uma merda de nenhum lutador. Eu vou quebrar ele inteiro, eu vou quebrar. Vocês não estão entendendo o que vai acontecer. Vocês não estão entendendo. Acabou a brincadeira. Não tem brincadeira. Ele vai apanhar muito, não tem brincadeira. Acabou o papo, acabou a brincadeira. E pode falar o que ele quiser, mas só que agora acabou. Agora é porrada. Ele nunca tomou porrada na vida dele. Ele vai tomar muita porrada.
He didn't affect me personally, but I'm just going to make him pay and make him eat everything that he said, not only about myself, but about our country, about everything. I'm going to make him pay and make sure that he never disrespects any Brazilian, any fighter, not only Brazilian, any fighter. I'm going to beat him maybe the way his parents should have beat him to teach him some manners, because he's disrespectful, he's a criminal, and I'm going to beat him up like he's never been beat before. The game's over. He could say whatever he wants, but I'm not playing anymore. He's going to get beat like he's never been beaten before.
We saw Anderson in the documentary Like Water that you did. We saw obviously a lot different build up to the last fight. What's the biggest difference in your mindset now versus, let's say, when you were doing that documentary leading into that fight?
Ele assistiu o filme Like Water e ele viu que chegando nessa luta com a atitude diferente. O que é a maior diferença dessa vez lutando com ele em comparação com a primeira?
Não vai ter muita diferença. A última vez ele lutou comigo e perdeu. Dessa vez ele vai perder e vai sair todo quebrado. Ele vai precisar fazer uma plástica.
There's going to be no difference in the end. The first time we fought, he stepped out the loser, and he's going to step out losing again this time. The only difference is that this time he's going to have to go see a plastic surgeon after the fight.
And one question for Dana. Dana, obviously Anderson's pretty fired up today. You've been a part of the UFC for so many years. Would you say this is the most heated rivalry you've ever seen in UFC history?
Yep. I've there's been some bad ones. You had Rampage and Rashad and things like that. But I think what makes this one so crazy is I've promoted every Anderson Silva fight since he's been in the UFC, and I've never heard him talk even remotely close like this. He usually doesn't say anything negative, disrespectful. I've never heard Anderson Silva talk like this.
Thanks very much, guys.
We'll go next to Franklin McNeil with ESPN.
My question is for Anderson. Anderson, obviously everyone's talking about the fire that you're exhibiting in this rematch, and I want to know, is part of your response does it have to do with the attitude in Brazil? Some of the comments that CHAEL has made about your home country, and is pride a part of what you're feeling right now?
Anderson, em todas as lutas eu nunca vi você com tanta raiva como você está dessa vez. Essa raiva é por causa que ele falou do Brasil? Por que tem tanta raiva dessa vez? Hello?
Hello?
Anderson. We might have lost him.
It appears his line has dropped. We will redial.
Okay.
That's all right. We're getting close. I don't think there's too much more Anderson Silva could say than he's already said. If you guys have some questions for CHAEL or for TITO or FORREST, I honestly don't know what else Anderson Silva could possibly say.
Yeah, I don't think Anderson's going to say this is it. Anderson's already repeated various times what he's going to do. And
I think it's pretty clear how he feels and what he wants to do and what's going to happen. So anybody have any questions for CHAEL or TITO or FORREST?
We'll go next to Steven Maraca with MMAJunkie.com.
Well, CHAEL, I guess my question for you is, how do you feel about what Anderson has been saying during this call? I mean, the timing of it and obviously the fire behind it. What's your impression of the call today? Hello?
All right. It looks like we're going to have to wrap this thing up. I guess that's it. Guys, got anything for TITO or FORREST?
We'll go next to Camila Ortiz with El Octagono.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Dana, first of all, thanks for having us this conference call. I wanted to say the support that you've been getting, the UFC has been getting in Brazil is always amazing. But would you say that this fight card and all the fan expo will be bigger than the events that have been in Brazil?
I think this is going to be. I think this is going to be the biggest sporting event of the year. Definitely the biggest fight of the year for us, and one of the biggest sporting events of the year. I think, yeah, it's a big week. It's a big weekend with the expo and with this huge fight. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm looking very forward to it.
And I was going to ask Chael Sonnen a question, but I'll ask you. He said that fans in the U.S. aren't that loyal. They seem to jump on fan wagons. Would you agree to that, or would you say that it's just a thing depending on the flow of the fighters, depending whether they're coming off a win or a lose?
Yeah, I think it depends. It's unfortunate that these guys are involved in a sport where you're as good as your last fight. You know what I mean? You look at the Clay Guida thing that happened the other night. For 2 days, people were cheering and chanting Clay Guida. When he gets in the fight and starts fighting the way that he fought, and by the third round they turned on him and were cheering for Maynard. You know, it's the nature of this business.
And I have one last question for I guess this could go for TITO and for FORREST. Do you guys feel that this the main event fight has taken focus away from the fact that this is I guess like a retirement fight? You know, that you guys are huge names in the sport as well.
No, not at all. You know, Dana's doing his job. This is about the UFC. My job is to fight. And on July 7th, I'll fight. And I'm going to fight with my heart, I'm going to fight with my soul, and I'm going to get my hand raised.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys taking time to answer my questions, and we're definitely looking forward to this card, and the Fan Expo will be there in Vegas supporting you guys.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
We'll go next
All
to
right,
Heidi
guys,
Fang.
that's it. I'm going to wrap this thing up. We appreciate you guys calling in and taking the time. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the 7th.
Again, that does conclude today's presentation. We thank you for your participation.
This call has been recorded.